Put the money back, Mr. Mercer. Vanessa Cole's voice cut across the diner, loud enough to stop every conversation in the room. Daniel Mercer looked at the thick envelope in her hand, then at his 9-year-old daughter, Lily, sitting beside him with both hands wrapped around a glass of chocolate milk. "I didn't take anything," Daniel said. Vanessa gave a short laugh. "Then explain why $5,000 was found under your table." A few people turned in their seats. Someone near the window lifted a phone. Daniel noticed, but he didn't react. He just rested one hand on Lily's shoulder. "Dad," she whispered. "It's okay, kiddo." Across the diner, Claire stood frozen in a cheap blue waitress uniform, holding a coffee pot she had forgotten to put down. She knew exactly where the money came from. She knew because she had put it there. Not to frame Daniel. Not to embarrass him. At least, that was what she had told herself. It was supposed to be a test. A simple one. Leave the cash where he could find it, watch what he did, and learn whether the quiet single dad she'd been studying for 3 days was really as honest as he seemed. But now Vanessa was calling him a thief in front of his daughter, and Claire felt sick. "Call the police," Vanessa said. Daniel finally looked at her. His voice stayed calm. "You can call whoever you need to call. But don't talk about this like my daughter isn't sitting right here." That made Vanessa pause. Just for a second. Lily looked up at her father. She wasn't crying. She was scared, though, and Daniel could tell. He leaned closer. "Look at me. You're okay." Claire watched him and felt something inside her drop. He wasn't worried about the money. He wasn't worried about the people staring. He was worried about his little girl. And somehow that made everything worse. Before we go any further, if you believe kindness still matters when nobody important is watching, take a second to subscribe, because this story is really about what people do when they think there is nothing to gain. 3 days earlier, Claire Whitmore had walked into that same diner wearing the same blue uniform and a plastic name tag that said Claire, trainee. Nobody there knew she was the CEO of Whitmore Hospitality Group. Nobody knew her company was considering buying the entire restaurant chain. And Daniel Mercer definitely didn't know. That was the point. Claire had spent years surrounded by people who smiled because they knew her name, opened doors because they knew her title, and laughed at jokes that weren't funny because they knew who signed the checks. She wanted to know what people were like when they thought nobody powerful was watching. Then Daniel walked in with Lily, tired from work, grease still under his fingernails, and treated a nervous new waitress like she mattered. Claire noticed. Then she decided to test him. 3 days later, she was about to learn that some tests tell you far more about the person giving them than the person taking them. 3 days earlier, Claire Whitmore had stood in her office on the 41st floor and watched people move through downtown traffic like tiny dots below the glass. Her desk was clean. Too clean. A report sat in front of her with one line highlighted in yellow. Employee Emergency Fund. Missing money. Again. Claire had spent 6 months trying to understand why the numbers inside Whitmore Hospitality looked good while the people inside it looked tired. Managers smiled when she entered a room. Regional directors called her brilliant. Employees suddenly stood straighter when they saw her coming. None of it felt useful anymore. Richard Vale, her chief operating officer, leaned against the conference table and folded his arms. "You keep asking the same question," he said. Claire looked up. "Because nobody keeps giving me a real answer. People behave differently around the boss." "Exactly." Richard gave her a tired smile. "Then stop being the boss for a day." Claire stared at him. "What does that mean?" He tapped the file in front of her. "Maple Street Diner. We are supposed to decide whether we buy the chain next month. You want to know how they treat people? Go work a shift." Claire almost laughed. "As what?" "Not as Claire Whitmore." He paused. "As someone nobody cares about impressing." That stayed with her. By the next morning, she was standing in the employee restroom at Maple Street Diner, tying a cheap blue apron around her waist. Her jewelry was gone. Her hair was pulled back. Her phone was locked inside a plain canvas bag. The plastic name tag on her shirt said Claire, trainee. Vanessa Cole, the diner manager, barely looked at her. Tables 1 through 6. Coffee every 10 minutes. Do not disappear during the lunch rush. Claire nodded. Got it. Vanessa pointed toward the kitchen. And if customers complain, smile. They are paying. You are not. That line bothered Claire more than she expected. For the first hour, nobody treated her badly. They barely treated her at all. Customers asked for refills without looking up. One man snapped his fingers for ketchup. Another left $2 on a $40 check. Claire kept working. She wanted the truth, and truth was rarely polite. Around 6:30 that evening, the front door opened and a man walked in with a little girl beside him. He looked tired. Work boots. Faded jacket. Grease still around his fingernails like he had washed his hands, but not quite enough. The girl carried a school backpack covered in small stars. Booth by the window, she asked. If it is open, the man said. Claire grabbed 2 menus. Right this way. The girl smiled at her. The man did too. Nothing big. Nothing forced. Just a normal smile. Long day? Claire asked before she could stop herself. He glanced at the girl. For me, yes. For her, apparently school was the greatest event in human history. We had cupcakes, the girl said. Claire laughed. That explains it. The man sat down. Daniel Mercer. He nodded toward his daughter. And this is Lily. Claire looked at them for half a second longer than she meant to. She had spent years watching people change the second they learned her last name. Daniel did not know it. Lily did not know it. Right then, Claire decided she wanted to see who they were before they ever had the chance to. Claire came back with 2 glasses of water and a chocolate milk for Lily. She had been working tables for less than a day, but her feet already hurt, and she was starting to understand how invisible a person could feel while standing right in front of someone. She set Daniel's water down first, then reached across the table with Lily's drink. Her elbow caught the edge of Daniel's glass. Water tipped across the table and spilled straight onto the front of his faded work shirt. Claire froze. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. Daniel looked down at himself. Lily covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Claire grabbed a stack of napkins. I should have watched what I was doing. Vanessa turned from the register and saw the mess. Claire. Her voice carried across the room. Seriously. Claire felt every head nearby turn toward her. I have it, she said. Vanessa walked over anyway. That is what you said about table 3. It was an accident, Claire replied quietly. Accidents cost money. Daniel stood up and took a few napkins from Claire's hand. It is fine. Vanessa looked at his wet shirt. Sir, we can take something off the bill. Daniel shook his head. No need. She spilled water all over you. Daniel glanced at Claire, who looked more embarrassed than he did. It is water. I will survive. Lily finally laughed. Dad, your shirt already looked bad. Daniel looked at her. Thank you for your support. Claire laughed before she could stop herself. Vanessa did not. Get him another drink, she told Claire. And try not to wear this one. Claire nodded and headed toward the counter. Daniel watched her go, then looked at Vanessa. You know, everybody gets a first day. Vanessa gave him a flat look. She is not your employee. No. She is just a person. Vanessa said nothing and walked away. A few minutes later, Claire returned with a fresh glass. Thank you, Daniel said. For what? The refill. Claire blinked. After I dumped the first one on you. You did not dump it on me. You spilled it. There is a difference. A big one. Lily nodded very seriously. Dad spills coffee at least twice a week. Daniel pointed at her. We agreed not to discuss family business in public. Claire smiled again. It felt strange. Easy. Most people around her chose every word carefully. Daniel did not know enough about her to do that. After dinner, Claire brought the check. Daniel paid in cash. She counted the bills, then made a small decision. She added an extra $20 to his change. A simple test. Nothing dramatic. She placed the money on the table and walked away. Daniel called her back less than 10 seconds later. Claire. She turned. He held up the bill. You gave me too much. Claire looked at the 20. Are you sure? Pretty sure. You could have just kept it. Daniel gave her a puzzled smile. Why would I do that? Some people would. He handed it back. Then some people need it more than I do. Claire stared at him. Daniel did not wait for praise. He helped Lily put on her backpack, thanked Claire for dinner, and walked toward the door. Claire looked down at the $20 bill in her hand. It was the smallest amount of money she had thought about in years, and somehow it had just told her something millions of dollars never had. The next evening, Daniel and Lily came back just after 6. Claire noticed them before Vanessa did. Lily had the same star-covered backpack, and Daniel still looked like he had come straight from work. He gave Claire a small nod when she walked over. No water tricks tonight, he asked. Claire smiled. I am trying a new system. Sounds risky. Lily slid into the booth. Dad says that when he does not understand something. That is not true. Daniel sat across from her. It is sometimes true. Claire handed them the menus, but before she could step away, an older man near the front window stood up slowly and looked around. Every booth close to the heater was full. He rubbed his hands together and headed toward a table near the door. Cold air slipped in every time someone entered. Daniel noticed. He looked at Lily. You okay moving? Lily followed his eyes and nodded. Yeah. Daniel stood and waved to the man. Sir, you can take this booth if you want. It is warmer. The man hesitated. You are already sitting there. We are younger. Lily added, a lot younger. The man laughed and thanked them. Claire helped move their drinks to a smaller table near the kitchen. You did not have to do that, she said. Daniel sat down. I know. A few minutes later, a woman at a nearby table called Claire over. She pointed at her plate. This is not what I ordered. Claire checked the ticket. The kitchen had made the wrong sandwich. I am sorry. I will fix it. I have been waiting 20 minutes. I understand. Do you? The woman asked. Because this place is a mess tonight. Claire felt Vanessa watching from the register. Before Claire could answer, Daniel spoke from the next table. I think the kitchen made the mistake. The woman looked at him. Excuse me. She wrote the order down right. I heard you when you ordered. Claire looked at Daniel. The woman glanced at the ticket, then back at Claire. Fine. Just bring the right one. When Claire returned to the counter, Vanessa leaned close. You do not need customers defending you. Claire kept her voice low. I did not ask him to. Then stop giving them reasons to. Claire felt her jaw tighten, but she said nothing. Later, near the end of the meal, a little boy at another table dropped a few crumpled bills on the floor. His mother counted them twice, then quietly asked the server to remove one of the meals from the check. Daniel heard enough to understand. He looked at Lily. She looked back at him. No words passed between them. Daniel called their server over and handed her some cash. Put this toward that table. Claire saw it happen. "Do you know them?" she asked when she brought his coffee. "No." "Then why pay for them?" Daniel looked toward the mother, who was trying to make the remaining food seem like enough. "Why would I need to know them?" Claire did not answer. Daniel took a sip of coffee. "Sometimes people just need one thing to go right." Claire looked at him for a long second. He had returned $20 the night before. He had given up the warm booth. Now he was helping a family that would probably never know his name. None of it could help him. None of it could impress anyone important. At least, that was what Daniel believed. And for the first time since Claire had walked into the diner wearing that plastic name tag, she started wondering whether the real test was already over. Claire barely slept that night. She kept thinking about the $20, the warm booth, the meal Daniel had quietly paid for. None of those things were dramatic. That was exactly what bothered her. He had not looked around to see who was watching. He had not waited for praise. He had just helped. The next morning, she met Richard in a coffee shop 2 blocks from the diner before her shift. He wore a dark suit and looked completely out of place beside her blue uniform. "So?" he asked. Claire stirred her coffee. "I think we have enough." Richard raised an eyebrow. "Enough for what?" "To know who he is. After 2 dinners. After choices." Richard leaned back. "Claire, people perform. Especially when they think someone is watching." She looked at him. "He does not know who I am." "Maybe he knows more than you think." Claire shook her head. "He returned $20. He gave up his seat. He paid for strangers." Richard shrugged. "Small things." Claire stopped stirring. Character usually shows up in small things. Richard studied her for a second. "You are getting attached to the story. I am getting tired of testing a decent person." Richard lowered his voice. "One final test." Claire frowned. "No." $5,000. Her eyes narrowed. "Absolutely not. Leave it where he can find it. If he turns it in, you are right. If he keeps it, I am." Claire set the spoon down. "That is not a test. That is bait." Richard gave a small smile. "You wanted the truth." Claire looked through the window toward Maple Street Diner across the street. "No. I wanted proof." "Same thing." "Not always." That evening, Daniel and Lily came in again. Claire almost felt relieved when she saw them. Lily waved. Daniel smiled. Third night. "We are becoming regulars." "I was starting to worry," Claire said. "About us?" "About my tips." Daniel laughed. "There it is. The truth." The moment felt easy, which made the envelope hidden inside Claire's bag feel heavier. She had told Richard she was done. She meant it. But before the dinner rush, he had shown up at the back entrance, handed her the envelope, and said, "Just leave it somewhere near him. Nobody gets hurt." Now Claire stood behind the counter watching Daniel help Lily with math homework while they waited for food. "Dad, 12 times 7. 84. You did not even think. I repair machines for a living. Numbers are less scary than customers." Lily smiled. Claire looked down at the envelope. $5,000. To Daniel, that could mean bills paid, car repairs, breathing room. To Claire, it was barely noticeable. That difference suddenly made the whole idea feel ugly. She picked up the envelope and started toward the office to return it to her bag. Then Vanessa called from the kitchen. "Claire, table 4 needs coffee." Claire stopped. A server passed behind her, forcing her to move aside. The envelope slipped from her hand and landed near Daniel's booth. Claire saw it. She could have picked it up. She should have. But Vanessa called again, louder this time. Claire looked at Daniel, then at the envelope, then back toward the kitchen. For one terrible second, she hesitated. That second was all it took. Daniel was helping Lily erase a math problem when the envelope slid partly under the edge of their booth. He did not notice it. Claire did. She stood near the coffee station with a full pot in one hand, telling herself she would pick it up as soon as she finished table 4. Then Vanessa came around the corner carrying a stack of receipts. Her shoe stopped inches from the envelope. "What is this?" she asked. Claire's stomach dropped. Vanessa bent down, picked it up, and opened the flap before Claire could say anything. Her expression changed. "Are you serious?" Daniel looked up. "Everything okay?" Vanessa counted the bills once, then again. $5,000. The diner seemed to get quieter without actually becoming quiet. Silverware still clicked. The coffee machine still hissed. But people were listening now. Vanessa looked toward the office, then back at Daniel. "Where did you get this?" Daniel frowned. "Get what?" "Do not do that." Vanessa held up the envelope. "This was under your table." Lily looked at her father. Daniel sat back slowly. "I have never seen it before." Vanessa gave a short laugh. "Of course you have not." Claire took one step forward. "Vanessa, I think there is an explanation." "Stay out of this." Claire stopped. That was the moment she should have told the truth. She knew it. But the words caught somewhere between fear and shame. Vanessa walked closer to Daniel. "We keep cash in the office for vendor payments. $5,000 went missing this afternoon." Daniel looked at the envelope. "Then you should check your cameras." "We will." "Good." His voice stayed calm. Vanessa seemed almost annoyed by that. "You expect me to believe $5,000 just appeared under your booth?" Daniel glanced down at Lily. Her face had gone pale. "I expect you to believe whatever the facts show." "Dad," Lily whispered. Daniel turned to her immediately. "Hey. Look at me." She did. "We are okay." "But she thinks you stole it." Daniel lowered his voice. "What someone thinks is not the same as what is true." Claire felt those words harder than she expected. Vanessa pulled out her phone. "I am calling the police." Daniel nodded once. "That is your choice. You are not worried." "I did not take your money." Vanessa looked around at the customers now watching openly. People always have a story. Daniel stood, but he kept one hand lightly on Lily's shoulder. And sometimes people decide what the story is before they know the truth. Vanessa stared at him. "People like you always have an excuse." That changed something in Daniel's face. Not anger. Just disappointment. "People like me." Vanessa looked away for half a second. Daniel continued, quieter now. "You can question me. You can check every camera in this building. But do not teach my daughter that a worn jacket and work boots make someone guilty." The room finally went still. Even Vanessa had nothing ready to say. Claire stood 10 feet away with the coffee pot growing heavy in her hand. She had wanted proof that Daniel was honest. She had wanted to know what kind of man he was when money appeared and nobody important was watching. Now his daughter was scared, strangers were judging him, and Claire knew something Richard had never planned for. Daniel was not failing the test. She was. "Stop." Claire's voice was not loud, but it carried across the entire diner. Vanessa turned with her phone still in her hand. Daniel looked over. Lily did too. Claire set the coffee pot down on the counter. Her fingers were shaking. "Do not call anyone." Vanessa frowned. "Claire, stay out of this." "I cannot." Claire reached behind her neck and untied the blue apron. "The money is mine." Nobody moved. Vanessa stared at her. "What?" Claire placed the apron on the counter. "The $5,000 belongs to me." Daniel looked at the envelope, then back at Claire. His face changed slowly. He was beginning to understand that something was wrong in a way he had not expected. Vanessa gave an uncomfortable laugh. You are a trainee. Why would you have $5,000 sitting around? The front door opened behind her. Richard Vale walked in wearing the same dark suit Claire had seen that morning. A woman carrying a leather folder followed him. Richard stopped when he saw the room. He looked at Claire, then at Daniel. Ms. Whitmore. Vanessa went completely still. Daniel said nothing. Claire closed her eyes for half a second. There it was. The name she had hidden. The name that changed the way people spoke to her. Vanessa looked between them. Ms. Whitmore. Richard stepped closer. Claire Whitmore. Chief Executive Officer of Whitmore Hospitality Group. The silence that followed felt heavier than the accusation had. Claire looked at Daniel. I can explain. Daniel kept one hand on Lily's shoulder. I think you should. Claire swallowed. My company is considering buying this restaurant chain. I came here because I wanted to see how people behaved when they did not know who I was. Daniel nodded slowly. And me. Claire did not answer right away. That answer hurt more. I noticed the way you treated people. The way you treated me. I wanted to know if it was real. Lily looked confused. You tested my dad. Claire looked at her. Yes. Saying it out loud made it sound worse. Daniel's voice stayed quiet. The $20. Claire nodded. Yes. The envelope. Another pause. It was supposed to be the last test. I was going to pick it back up. Then Vanessa found it first. Vanessa looked stunned. You put that money there? Yes. Claire turned toward the room. Daniel did not steal anything. He did nothing wrong. Nobody reached for a phone now. Nobody whispered. Daniel looked at Claire for a long moment. You could have just asked me who I was. I know. No, I do not think you did. Claire lowered her eyes. I did not know how to trust an answer. Daniel let out a slow breath. Then maybe you were not testing me. Claire looked up. What do you mean? Maybe you were testing whether everybody was as fake as you expected them to be. Richard shifted uncomfortably. Vanessa stared at the floor. Daniel continued. You wanted proof that kindness had a price. So you kept raising the price until somebody got hurt. Claire looked at Lily. The girl was still holding on to her father's jacket. Claire finally understood what the test had cost. You are right, she said. Daniel seemed surprised by how quickly she admitted it. Claire looked around the diner. I came here to find out who people really were when nobody important was watching. She looked back at Daniel. I found out. Then she took a breath. I also found out who I was when I thought I had the right to judge them. Daniel did not say much after that. He took Lily home, helped her with the rest of her homework, and tried to act like the night had not followed them through the front door. It had. Lily sat at the kitchen table with a pencil in her hand and looked up at him. Are you mad at Claire? Daniel thought about it. I am disappointed. Is that worse? Sometimes. Lily nodded like she understood more than he wanted her to. The next afternoon, someone knocked on the apartment door. Daniel opened it and found Claire standing there alone. No blue apron. No assistants. No expensive car waiting at the curb. Just Claire holding a plain white envelope. Daniel looked at it, then at her. No. Claire blinked. You have not even opened it. I do not need to. Daniel, it is not what you think. He leaned against the doorframe. If that is a check, keep it. Claire looked down at the envelope. It is not a check. That made him pause. She held it out again. Please. Daniel took it but did not open it right away. What is it? An apology. A real one. He pulled out a handwritten letter and several printed pages. The first page had a heading at the top. The Mercer Standard. Daniel frowned. What is this? Claire took a breath. A new company policy. She explained it slowly. Every employee in Whitmore Hospitality would now have a way to report mistreatment without going through the manager involved. There would be an emergency fund for workers facing rent problems, medical bills, or family crises. Managers would be reviewed not just on sales and labor costs, but on how people under them were treated. Daniel looked at her. You named it after me. I was going to. Do not. Claire looked surprised. Why? Because people should not need my name on a policy to remember basic respect. Claire was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Fair. Daniel flipped through the pages again. So rename it. I will. And make sure the workers actually know it exists. I will. And do not make them prove they are suffering enough before you help them. Claire almost smiled. You have opinions. You came to my door. That is true. Daniel handed the papers back except for the letter. Claire noticed. You are keeping that. The apology is personal. The policy belongs to your employees. Claire looked relieved, but Daniel was not ready to make it easy for her. You know this does not fix what happened. I know. Lily watched strangers think her father was a thief. Claire lowered her eyes. I know. You cannot undo that with money. That is why I did not bring money. Daniel looked at her for a long second. For the first time since he had met her, Claire was not testing him, explaining herself, or trying to control the outcome. She was just standing there, waiting. Why did you really come? He asked. Claire answered quietly. Because you were kind to me when you thought I had nothing to offer you. I wanted to say I was sorry without offering you something in return. Daniel looked down at the handwritten letter in his hand. That is a better start. Claire gave a small nod. A start is all I was hoping for. Then she turned toward the stairs. Daniel watched her go. A few steps down, she stopped. Daniel. Yeah. Claire looked back. You said kindness is not a trade. Daniel nodded. It is not. Claire held his gaze. I think I finally understand what you meant. 3 months later, Maple Street Diner still looked like Maple Street Diner. Same red booths. Same coffee smell. Same old sign buzzing over the front window. Claire could have replaced everything. She did not. Instead, she fixed what mattered. Vanessa was no longer the manager. She stayed with the company after agreeing to retraining, and for the first time, employees had a way to speak up without worrying about losing their jobs. The new emergency fund was active too, but Claire had renamed it exactly like Daniel asked. No hero names. No fancy slogan. Just employee support fund. Daniel did not become rich overnight. He did not want that. He did get a better job, though, helping Whitmore Hospitality inspect kitchen equipment and improve safety systems across several locations. Claire offered him the role because he knew the work, not because she felt guilty. Daniel made sure of that before he signed anything. I am not charity, he told her. I know, Claire said. That is why I am hiring you. Lily liked the new schedule because Daniel was home earlier most nights. She also liked the fact that Claire stopped by the diner sometimes without a suit, without assistance, and without anyone calling her Ms. Whitmore. One rainy Friday evening, Claire walked in wearing jeans and a simple gray coat. Lily was already in a booth doing homework. Daniel sat across from her with a cup of coffee. Claire stopped beside the table. Is this seat taken? Lily looked up. Depends. Claire smiled. On what? Are there any secret tests tonight? Daniel looked at his daughter. Lily. Claire laughed softly. No secret tests. Lily moved her backpack. Then you can sit. Claire slid into the booth. Daniel pushed a fresh cup of coffee toward her. You remembered. 2 sugars. I am impressed. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Careful. That sounds like a test. Claire shook her head. No more tests. Good. For a moment, none of them said anything. Rain tapped against the glass. Plates clinked in the kitchen. Someone laughed near the counter. It was ordinary. Claire had spent most of her life chasing things that looked important from far away. Bigger deals. Better numbers. More control. But sitting there with Daniel and Lily, she realized ordinary could feel pretty close to peace. Lily looked at Claire. Do rich people still have to do homework? Claire smiled. Unfortunately, yes. Good. Daniel laughed. Claire did too. And if you believe people should be judged by how they treat others when nobody important is watching, leave a like, subscribe, or share your thoughts in the comments, because kindness usually does not make a lot of noise, but it changes more than people think. Claire looked across the table at Daniel. You know, I still feel bad about what happened. I know. Does that ever go away? Daniel thought for a second. Maybe it should not completely. Claire looked surprised. That sounds harsh. Not really. Sometimes guilt teaches you where not to go again. She nodded slowly. And forgiveness. Daniel looked at Lily, then back at Claire. That teaches you where you can still go. Claire did not answer right away. She just smiled. Months earlier, she had walked into that diner trying to find out whether genuine kindness still existed. She found it in a tired single dad with grease under his fingernails, a little girl with a star-covered backpack, and a simple truth she had somehow forgotten. Money can measure cost. Power can measure control. But character only shows itself in the choices nobody has to make. And sometimes the best second chance is not getting your old life back. Sometimes it is becoming someone better than you were before.